Are you going through a pivot phase in your business? If so, you most likely are experiencing all the feels. There is, on one hand, the excitement of, oh my God, something new is happening in my business. I am so excited to go this direction. I know it's the right fit for me, filled with all the fears around doing this pivot. Oh my God, am I doing the right thing? Is everything about to blow up in my face? Am I making a big mistake? And I know this because it's normal. We all go through it when we are having a pivot in your business, whether it is your offers, it is your audience, it is the whole business model. No matter what it is for you, it can be this mixed bag of feelings. And what I want to take you through today is 3 things that I wish I knew going through a pivot in order to do it more effectively and with more ease. So let's get to it. Number 1 is to let go of your previous numbers and metrics. Now, this is hard to do because we have put a lot of work into all of the numbers we have now, right? Like you have put in the work as far as running webinars and your ads and your email list building and everything that you've done with those numbers, you've been continuously watching the growth of, right? So you've been testing and tweaking and trying different things. And because of that, you have all these numbers in front of you so that you know what's working and what's not in your business at any given time. Well, when you're making a pivot, guess what? You start at 0 all over again. Now, one of the biggest mistakes I see is when people go through a pivot phase, they start to compare everything against the previous way they were doing business. So they make a pivot, they change their offer or their audience, and they are holding their previous webinar numbers against their current webinar numbers. Well, this is completely new, which means we can't compare the two because you're offering something different or you are serving a different audience, which means you're gonna have to go through that same trial and error process that you did originally to get to your new numbers, your new metrics, which most times we forget about that in a pivot phase and we start to get really upset or we start to fear when we see our email open rates dropping. Well, you probably are talking to different people now, so those aren't interested anymore. Those are different metrics. We need to start everything over again at 0. And that's actually an exciting part because you get to start off fresh and test out what is working and what's not for this new pivot. Number 2 is to give yourself grace. Here's the thing, there's a reason why people say hindsight is 20/20, because it is. But when you're going through a pivot phase in your business, it's very easy to question yourself about all the things. So why didn't I make this pivot sooner? Why didn't I see the signs sooner? Why didn't I realize that that wasn't working for me? Why? Well, here's the thing, because there's no way you could have possibly known any of that until you experienced it, which means really giving yourself grace that this pivot is happening now for a reason because you're ready for it and you are willing to put in the work that's needed to start off fresh and give your business exactly the shift that it has been waiting for. We have no way of knowing this until we hit those points in our business. Sometimes it's got to hit us over the head for us to make a pivot. Whatever brought you to this point is exactly what was supposed to. So being willing to trust in that and give yourself grace that, hey, you're human. You don't know all the answers. I don't know all the answers either. It is exactly how we all work. So let go of perfection. Give yourself grace that you are in this pivot now because now is the time for you to actually do it. And number 3 is give it a year. Now, for some, that may freak you out right now of, wait, are you saying it's going to take a year before I am profiting from this offer, before I am seeing traction with this audience? Like, not necessarily, but I want you to give yourself a full runway of time in order to test things out, in order to see what is working for this new audience or this new offer or this new business. Because again, we are starting off fresh. So if you are trying to make a pivot and you want people to understand the full pivot and know everything that's going on within the first week, you are going to get very upset with yourself and you're not going to see the long-term picture of what really goes into a pivot in your business. We need time for the people to understand that you're making this shift. We need time for you to make the adjustments into your systems in the background in order to go with this pivot. And the bigger the pivot, the more time it's going to take to make all these changes in your business, unless you have a large team that can do it quickly. But even then, you still don't get to get rid of the testing period of this new pivot. So I love to give myself a year, because this always tells me too that if even the thought of a year is too much for me, of, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this all for a year, well, then I'm probably not in the right business, that I'm probably not taking the right pivot if I'm not willing to give a year of an entire entrepreneurial journey, which spans decades. A year is just a drop in the bucket. So if instead I am willing to really see this pivot for what it is, something that is going to take time in order to really catch hold of my audience, then this allows me to, yes, give myself more grace in the process. Yes, allow myself to get the numbers that I need, allow myself to go through this and see that no, it doesn't happen overnight. Yes, you come into this pivot with all of the knowledge and the information that you have learned in the past, but you're still starting this piece off new. So treat it as such, and that means to give it the time it needs in order to flourish. I hope those 3 things were helpful for you to have. These are things that I wish somebody told me so that I was not stressing myself out in the middle of a pivot, questioning everything, and instead was really seeing it for what it was, a way for my vision to step up to that next level, a way for me to continuously grow and evolve as a business owner, for me to really see what was in front of me. And the same thing goes for you. If you are willing to trust this process, trust that you were put here for a reason, trust that your message needs to get out there to more people, and that this pivot is going to allow you to do so, then the rest of it becomes irrelevant. So if you're going through a pivot right now, keep going. You got this.